The past 10 or so years have seen a rise in media about ultra-rich people. Shows like Succession or The White Lotus usually serve to depict the divide between the working class and the rich, satirizing and critiquing the rich in the process. I think there is thematic value to shows like that. But when I started watching the new Netflix original Sirens, it felt like it was just a cheap imitation. Presentation-wise, from the cinematography to the sets and set design to the music, it clearly sought to imitate shows like The White Lotus. Fortunately, however, it defied my expectations by being more than just another show banking on the spectacle of its visuals and the appeal of its rich people vibes. Sirens follows Devon, a 30-something-year-old gal who's stuck at home taking care of her dementia-suffering father. Meanwhile, her sister Simone, who'd left home years ago because of their father's depression-induced neglect, is working as an assistant to Michaela Kell, the ultra-rich wife of billionaire Peter Kell. On their island home, it seems that Michaela has some alluring rich person hold on her friends and guests, Simone included. And thus, Devon makes it her mission to free her sister from the grasps of what she presumes is a fake, culty existence. Though Sirens has its fair share of issues, with pacing and plot problems throughout its 5-episode run, I think it managed to impress me a little bit thanks to two specific things, which allow it to distinguish itself from the usually regurgitated commercial Netflix slop. First is the performances. Julianne Moore adds some much-needed layers to the caricature-like version of the enchanting, high-class, rich snob that is the Michaela we see in the first episode, encouraging us as viewers to wonder what we don't know about this character. Later episodes deviate from the cliche and make Michaela a unique character of her own right, but in the beginning, it's Moore's performance that gives the character the depth required to keep us waiting for the story to catch up. Millie Alcock is also pretty great as a preppy mini Michaela while harboring a very dark, traumatic past. My only frame of reference for Millie is House of the Dragon, and it's nice to see her play a mostly very different role here. She pulls it off well. Megan Fahey was the most striking performance to me. She's always played very rich-like characters, at least from what I'd seen most recently in the second season of White Lotus, where she was a naive-seeming, perky trophy wife. The distinction here is drastic, and she pulls it off masterfully, playing this hot mess of a drunk, recovering, working-class woman who's kind of stuck in the same life she's had since high school, but with the weight of more and more responsibilities. She seemed so different at first that I genuinely could not recognize if she was indeed Fahey, so props to her for that. Honorable mention to Glenn Howerton. I haven't seen him outside of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I love this character here. A subtly absurd, fancy, rich man-child who is just fun to see in action. But moving past performances, the main thing that kept me hooked here was the character writing. The show does a great job of constantly moving the lines on which the characters stand. With every episode, it feels like you're more confused on who to root for, even if it was crystal clear in the episodes before. Michaela, for instance, starts off looking like a cliché, ultra-rich bitch villain. But eventually, you even empathize and understand her. The show makes you believe that you know who these characters are based on the stereotypes and clichés they represent, but constantly ends up surprising us by allowing them so much more depth and realism. It's the kind of shit I like. No one here is really evil or villainously psychotic. Everyone's just flawed and everyone fucks up, and by the end of it, they're all so real and the conflict is so layered that you don't know whether you should be happy or upset at the consequences or rewards that each character leaves the show with. While the story is not all that special, it does go over some touching themes about family and responsibility, about what we owe to those who raised us or failed and neglected to do so. The clash between Devon and Simone is very interesting because it shows you these two traumatized daughters who went on very different paths. In a sense, one escaped the abuse and the other didn't, but the results of their decisions aren't so clear that you can tell who, if either, did the right thing. It also says some good stuff about the draw and appeal of money and power, and how our pursuit of those can change who we are, and how our origins and upbringings influence how we deal with obtaining that money and that power. At points, Sirens does seem to struggle with its identity and feels uncertain whether it wants to be a dark comedy or a drama. It combines both pretty well at most junctions, but sometimes it can feel like one tone is misplaced. Like a dramatic moment ends up getting undercut by a comedic sounding line of dialogue. But it's acceptable in the general scheme of things. Overall, while Sirens is not a spectacular show or an extremely memorable one, it tells a decent story with interesting characters, and pulls off some unique things with its character dynamics which deserve admiration. If you've got nothing better to do, you should give it a watch. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.